They've scared away tens of billions of dollars of investment. You have oil and gas companies pulling out and reinvesting in safer places like Iraq and Nigeria. And then after it's all said and done, oh, we've got a $500 million. Can someone come back, please? You didn't need to give away $500 million. You could have stopped the $20 billion from stampeding out the province because of your carbon taxes. It's so weird. And there's no grown-ups in there to tell them stop, is there? Is there anyone you can detect in the entire Alberta government who's not an activist, an extremist, a radical, a lobbyist, a mercenary brought in from Toronto or Vancouver? Like they really don't have like a gray-haired, older statesman type who would say, you know what? I've seen this before, let me wait. Like, there's no grown-up there, is there?
It's a young government. I'm sure that a lot of the people who are in the bureaucracy are the same people, but the reality is that, you know, even when there were those old guys in government, they were still really bad at business. Yeah. Government isn't good at being in the business.
I don't even mean in government, I mean in the NDP party. Like, just someone to say, you guys are, you know, you're reading your Noam Chomsky and your Karl Marx, and those aren't training manuals on how to run anything. Those are crazy, radical textbooks for permanent students. You're not students. Now, a lot of them were students right before they became MLAs. Like, there's just no one in the government who can say, this is too crazy, you've got to stop. There's just, I haven't found such a person.
Well, certainly nobody's speaking, you know, from experience on these files saying this hasn't worked, why we're trying it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So, I mean, it's, you know, there are people outside of government, though, who are saying, you know, these are bad ideas. Yeah. A lot of the numbers that I've thrown at you are from the University of Calgary. Yeah. They also tend to talk about why these kinds of corporate welfare, economic diversification, forced subsidies are a bad idea. We have to remember that, you know, when you're talking about these subsidies, you're taxing people, like the carbon tax that you mentioned, increased income tax, corporate tax. These are, you know, distortionary taxes. They have bad impacts on the economy. So when you're taking taxes that are having a negative impact on the economy, and then you're giving it out in subsidies, and you're talking about all the great things that a subsidy could, in theory, do, you're not talking about that bad side of it. Yeah. You know, a lot of these studies say you're just really shifting employment from one place to another when it comes to these government-forced subsidies. It really is just a terrible idea. And I think the important thing here is, you know, maybe this $500 million won't be an absolute disaster, but this is the first, I think, in a long line of these subsidies that the NDP is going to pursue here in Alberta based on their platform and based on what they've said. So that's a lot of money.